I mean, my parents took me to the doctor when I was very young, and they were like, "Hey, you need to put this boy on Ritalin," and my mom was like, "No." So,
Oh
um,
my gosh.
welcome back to the interim era. Today, I'm so excited to have our guest with us, Maria Marhefka. She's a LinkedIn ghostwriter and the invisible. Can I call you a wing woman behind some of the most scroll stopping posts that maybe you've ever
Oh,
read?
oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely. When you say it like that.
All right, let's go. Let's go. So, Maria,
Yes.
thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you. We're going to teach Mark how to write LinkedIn posts today.
Okay.
Oh, I
Oh,
like it.
okay. Well, thank you
Yep.
for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for joining us. The biggest thing we want to talk about today is Mark's a ghost buster of sorts.
Okay.
Yep, he loves the Ghostbusters, so he could probably kind of balance some of this out for us as we get into ghostwriting. He's probably got a proton pack somewhere there. He's probably a little bit nervous as we talk about ghosts, but we really want to get
Nah,
into
I ain't afraid of no ghost.
your perfect the art of ghostwriting. And as you know, Maria, Mark and I are going through our interim era. You do a lot on LinkedIn. That's where you and I first met, of
hmm
helping folks learn how to really just come up with their own narratives. And that's so extremely important on LinkedIn, especially when you're kind of in your in between interim era. So
hmm
today, I want to talk a little bit about ghostwriting, but then really see what we can do to help our listeners figure out the best way to kind of find their voice through this. Because I think what you find is even if you have a large audience on LinkedIn
hmm
and you've worked on it, you feel really good about it, that maybe you haven't used it for years and it's
Yep.
time to dust it off. You don't know how to use it, and things have changed
Right.
a lot over the last few years.
For sure. Yeah. So for LinkedIn ghostwriting, kind of like the long and the short is I feel like there's like a misconception when it comes to ghostwriting in general. People might think it's, someone just writes content and then slaps your name on it and then you pay them to do that. But the way that I do it, I think is a little bit different because I'm helping executives and founders. And the biggest thing for them is maybe they don't feel like they have stories to tell or they don't have anything really interesting to share in a LinkedIn post. So what I like to do is we'll have, monthly Q&A calls. 30 minutes gives me a month's worth of content because I'm asking them questions and pulling those stories out of them. And then I'm massaging their answers into that LinkedIn format that works on the platform. So it is their voice, it is their opinions, it's their thoughts. I'm picking up on, maybe phrases that they use and I'm hearing how they talk and I translate that into the post that they can share on their LinkedIn. And so that's really kind of like my approach to ghostwriting in regards to LinkedIn and helping, executives be present and consistent on the platform.
Why is that important in 2025 to be
I think it's
present on
so
LinkedIn
important.
with content?
Exactly. So I think, we're just seeing people don't connect with brands. I mean, it's nice to see brands being active on
Mhm.
social channels, on LinkedIn. No one's going to be refreshing their feed in hopes that a brand's post pops up. However, it's still important because when people are doing like their vetting process of if they want to work with somebody, they want to see that, their company page is active, it's not collecting cobwebs, they even have one in general. But I think, now more than ever, we're seeing a shift where people want to get that behind the scenes look. They want to get to know the person that's in the leadership position of the brands that they're purchasing from because it's a trust builder. If you see a company, talking about something, you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you see their CEO sharing, kind of a leadership post that's very unique to them. It's not, the cut and dry AI, this is what happened to me kind of thing. It's like you can feel personality come through it. Then I feel like that is like the unlock for them to say, oh, wow, like I think I want to kind of go with that company because I do like what the, executives are saying. And another thing when it comes to that is when executives are uh, showing up on LinkedIn, they're showing up a couple times a week, whether it be through their posts or maybe the comments, their brand name is going with their content with their comments because it's in their headline or it should be. And so that's just another way of brand awareness for that brand because it's just constantly showing up every time they post something or they leave a comment there. So it's a good brand awareness play as well.
Sure.
So, Mark, when I was in college, I used to come home and my father, who was a publisher of a newspaper, would hand me this printed out newsletter. It was called the Kiplinger letter, and it was the business letter. And he would say, "Hey, read this." You probably still get it delivered to your house. And he would say, "Hey, sit down and read this. This is going to teach you about all of what business leaders are saying about business, right?" But obviously that was way before my time. Probably more in your time, but way before my time. And then what?
There it is.
Yeah.
That's one pom-pom.
Yes.
One.
What I learned from that was that's where LinkedIn really picked up from, I believe, because the Kiplinger letter was really cool because it was business leaders writing, their point of view on the way businesses was changing in the world, right? But what was so awesome about LinkedIn was you've got those people that are making those changes and they're readily available on LinkedIn. They'll post there. You can engage with them. You could even nowadays, which has become even more common, which I've learned so much in the last 6 months, is you could actually try and set up a coffee chat or network with that actual person and learn how they set up that campaign and created it. So, I think that is what's always drawn me to LinkedIn was I'm always wanting to figure out how campaigns are run or how people are doing doing certain functions within their business, and being able to actually connect with that person and follow what they're doing was amazing to me. And I think, that's why I started with so many connections when I first got on LinkedIn, was the fact that if I saw somebody at Arby's was doing something really cool on social, I would go and before I could follow, connect with them just because I wanted to continue to see what they were going to do next. And I think it's still such a open opportunity now, but you've got that networking piece that's so much harder. Before we move away from ghostwriting, Mark, I want to break it down one time for you because I want to make sure you get it. Make sure you get it before we move on. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So think of what Maria's explaining, LinkedIn ghostwriting, as it's more like Spanx than an actual disguise. Okay. Same person, better fit, right? Better
I
fit.
like this.
Yeah. Same person, better fit. It's still your real voice, Mark. Just making it tighter.
Well, that's actually one of my questions because I have managed content teams and that is part of their role is writing content, ghostwriting content for executives, usually CEO, C-level. And one of the challenges we've always had is really finding the right voice and being able to stick to that. So you're not dedicated to a set of C-levels. So how do you find that voice and hold true to it?
So we have a lot of conversations, we have a strategy call where, I learn the themes and I'd help them identify the themes that they feel comfortable talking about consistently. So we can kind of add variety to their posting. So we're not just talking about the same thing over and over again. And then it's from conversations like these. So I'll have a note taker going on in the background so I can be fully engaged in the conversation. And and I feel like people are more, are better able to share, anecdotes, little tidbits that they might not type out in if we did it in a Google Doc, here, just fill in the blanks there. So having these conversations, it helps me pick up, kind of how they talk, maybe how they frame things. And then also seeing past podcasts, maybe if they were on them, if they do a webinar, if they have past published pieces of content, I pull all that in. And then that helps me kind of shape their tone and voice. And then, of course, I send them example posts when we first get started. I'm like, here is the first set of 5 posts, can you read through them? And then they're able to say yes, I like this. This sounds like me. So then I have a good baseline to see okay, these all made it past the test. Then I can kind of go ahead and start building out more content based on those approved posts.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and Maria, we've talked about this before, that a lot of times executives don't really know how to start. They're kind of like, well, wait, am I supposed to just talk here. Let me tell you about how our business is doing, and we're doing this. And blah, blah, blah. It's like very robotic, right?
Yeah.
And Mark, you and I have done these campaigns as well, where I think it really works for anybody. And this is a good transition into actually talking about how someone else can, start to formulate to create a killer LinkedIn post, right? Is, well, what's their narrative? Like, what are they good at? What do they feel like they want to be known for? Right. And then finding a way to then tie in their value proposition, whether if that is my value proposition as a candidate for a job or for an industry, or as a CEO or executive, what my organization then does that ties into that greater narrative that I'm pushing.
Right. And I think for like executives and founders, I feel like I wouldn't say easy, but it's maybe a little bit more obvious of, what they should be talking about. They should be talking, or they can be talking about, their entrepreneurial journey, their leadership, kind of how they've rose in the ranks, and where they're at today. And, pulling from those examples, how they're leading teams, what their company is all about. And then maybe for someone who is looking for a job, or maybe they have a job and, they just want to kind of like expand their network, you really want to focus on what it is, like find a goal. Like, what is your end goal with LinkedIn? Obviously a lot of people like networking, so they want to get their name out there. They want to, make connections because, God forbid, if they do lose a job, they have people that they can kind of reach out to and put feelers out for positions and things. But really, for the longevity of staying on LinkedIn, for like someone like me and both of you, it's talk about the stuff that interests you professionally and personally, because you're not going to run out of things to say. And, it might sound like, oh, like it's going to turn into Facebook. Like that's always like people are like, LinkedIn's turning into Facebook. Okay. Like people are showing, I mean, we are more than our job titles. We are more than what we do between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. And so people should know that, because I think there's always, people are like, should I talk about this or this? It's like an or conversation. And I'm always like, you should talk about this and that and that and that and that. Like really lean into and when it comes to your content, because if you go out with your friends, you're not just going to talk about one topic. You're going to kind of bounce from topic to topic, and it's all going to make sense. And it's going to, you're going to feel like, wow, that was a great conversation, because we talked about so many different things. And I feel like LinkedIn is really no different when it comes to content creation.
Absolutely. And I think I've seen recently that it's been categorized that LinkedIn's kind of like a job seeker's stage. Like they have to grab the mic. And if they don't grab the mic and talk, then like somebody else is going to step up and do that. So like, let's dive into the anatomy of a strong post. Okay. So,
yes,
I think everybody knows that they want it to be scroll stopping, right? You want to stop somebody in their tracks. And there's a lot of interesting things that are happening out there nowadays to get that. Mark likes yelling free pizza and then and adding like cowabunga at the end or something like that. But let's talk about the anatomy of a good post. Like when you're sitting down to do a good post, the hook, the story, the takeaway, all of those pieces, like let's talk about those for somebody that's getting into this, whether it's for the first time or they're brushing up again.
Well, and start with post versus article. Like a lot of the content I put out is an article. So, and then I write a LinkedIn article to tease it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a librarian of sorts.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested, because I feel like everybody has a different experience with LinkedIn articles. Like, is your audience really, they're into articles? I mean, I've seen like people are like, yes, everyone like is very into articles. Some people are like, I'll skim them. But what's your experience with them?
Well, I try and write them between 3 and 5 minutes of read time, which is longer form than I think a post should be. So I think a post should be a paragraph or two. It's giving a short statement. Matt's great with posts. But he doesn't do a lot of the longer form. So I'm trying to do a little bit longer form, medium form, medium form.
But Mark's a creative. He likes to tell a story. So
I'm telling stories, and it's about leadership or creativity or, those pieces where I want to dive a little bit deeper, and I want to, I want to put some thought leadership out there.
I think that's smart. It gives you more space. You're not as constricted with the post limits. So for posts, I mean, what I do with what I write for myself and then what I write for my clients is I started to notice like I had a pattern. And so just being the marketer that I am, I turned it into an acronym. So I have what's called the MEAL method, MEAL. Okay. It plays into my newsletter that I have. It's called the lunch break. So I was like, this is a good play on words, the MEAL method. And so basically what it is it's a framework of how like things that you basically the boxes you need to check to have a post from start to finish that feels like a wrapped up package that's ready to go. So M stands for make it memorable. So that's your hook. That's like the first, and like you said, Matt, that's what everyone says, like the first line or two of your content is the most important. And it really is, because if it's going to be flat, you're not going to get anyone excited to like click see more or like keep reading. They're going to be like, okay, no, I'm just going to the next one. Cause you can like, you're not beholden to the post that's right in front of you. And so that's where, the hook really comes in. So it's, maybe asking questions, it's sharing some sort of statistic. It's dropping people into like some specific part of a story that you're trying to tell, like bringing them into the fold. So that is M. So E is explain your insight. So you want to kind of tee them up with a hook. You want to get them interested. But then like the next few lines are, why am I even talking about this? So you're bringing them in to understand like what is really the main message and purpose of this post. A is your action step. So I think sometimes posts, it's easy to lean super heavy into theory. So you could just, say something like very high level and you're like, I'm so smart. So I'm going to, you know what I mean? But
no
people
insights,
are like,
just something. Yeah.
Yeah. Just something to chew on. And you're like, what? Like, I wish you would tell me more about it. But so that's where the action step comes into play. And it turns like that theory into action. So this is where like in my posts, I'll do maybe like 3 tips to kind of bring what I'm sharing to life. So I did one this week of, we're seeing a lot of like AI content. People are kind of sharing the same stuff, AI images, like same formats. And it's like starting to get very bland. Like you can see it. So my advice, the action step in this post was, I laid out 3 tips of how they can basically, I don't know if you ever read the book or heard of the book from Austin Kleon. It's Steal Like an Artist. So it's basically like, we're all doing the same things. Okay. So it's like, we're all doing the same things, but like how we interpret it makes it different. And in how we talk about it, how we package it. So I gave like 3 tips on how to do that. And those were my action steps to like take it from stop doing it what everyone else is doing. And I followed it up with here's how to not do that. And then L is lead engagement. So you always want to like lead them to take the next step. I mean, we're all marketers. We know like the calls to action are very important. Like questions are okay. They get, it's kind of like thought starters, but, I've seen people, they're encouraging people to share it, maybe sharing their experience in the comments, things like that. So that's the MEAL method. And I can share a link that kind of explains it a little bit more. And I have examples and templates and things like that. But that really helps me if I can go through and be like, I've achieved all of these steps, then I feel like it's a well-rounded post and the rest is just kind of finessing the wording and things like that.
How many times a week should I eat this meal? Like how many times, like if I'm going to start posting on LinkedIn, how many times a week should I
feed the algorithm?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I would say 2 to 3 times a week is a good starting point. I know that seems like a lot, at least 2 times a week. And this is what I always tell people is like, yes, posting's important because you want, if somebody lands on your profile, they want to like read through what you've talked about. Like it gives like a little bit of a deeper connection with you as a person. But if you are kind of struggling, maybe like it's been a while since you posted or you've never posted, I always encourage them start with commenting. Because that in itself can be difficult for people, but it feels a little less intimidating because you're not coming up with something from scratch. You're kind of jumping into conversations in the comments of other people's posts. So that just kind of gets you into a rhythm. And then honestly, when I do that, like if I feel like I don't feel like I can come up with anything, like I'm not firing on all creative cylinders, I'll go and start just commenting. And honestly, there have been, I would say probably 9 times out of 10, I'll comment something on somebody's post and then I turn it into a post of my own because I've already done the heavy lifting and the legwork of leaving this comment. I just take that and then I run with it and turn it into my own post. So it's a win-win whenever you can have those moments happen.
Yeah, that's how we met a few months ago. You and I was through that, which was, you were offering, hey, let me teach people how to write. I'm a ghostwriter. And I was like, sure, write a post for me. Because you said I'll write a post for you. And you took one of my comments and turned it into a post.
Yes.
Yeah.
And absolutely. It's just like it's not easy because, sometimes people still are like, maybe they're self-conscious of like, what do I have to add to a conversation? So it's like getting over that mental block. But once you start commenting, it's almost like people's content are like free post prompts for you because they're giving you they're getting your brain thinking about something that you might not have thought about on your own. And then you're like, oh, I can actually talk about this and I feel pretty confident in it. And then there you go. You have a post of your own.
So Mark has said that he likes writing in leather-bound book format, right? So what I want to make sure is that we're not just speaking out jargon to people. If they're listening to this, let's not write word for word, but let's write a post for Mark. Can we use the meal method and create one for Mark and look at each of the pieces? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I want people to fully understand and take this away. Mark, you good with this?
Sure.
Mark's
let me, I'm pulling up his LinkedIn as we speak. Oh my gosh. No, and I'm not saying that because of what I'm saying. I'm saying this because of my challenge right now.
Mark usually does a lot of trauma dumping on LinkedIn.
It's not true.
I know that's a big thing. Maybe while you're pulling that up and looking, talk a little bit about, we see that a lot, right? You can get caught in easy tropes like that. Politics, the job market, layoff culture, trauma dumping is a big thing that does happen. It's social media, even though it's supposed to be, you think of it as more professional, that is happening. How do you keep people from getting into those tropes while you're judging Mark's profile there?
And
I would say
to be fair,
go ahead.
I totally see LinkedIn as a brand curation tool and not true social media. I think social media is, and maybe I'm wrong about this. You're talking about how you should expose your humanity through LinkedIn and show the other side too. But I'd rather not see that there. I'd rather see business insights and ideas and thought leadership and things that are going to help me develop as a creative, as an employee, as a professional. That's what I'm looking for there. I took my child to the volleyball game kind of stuff. I want to see that on.
You don't want to know that I crashed my e-bike and then somebody stole my credit card for $1,100.
No, but you didn't put that on social. Well, you did, but you sent me a text message because we have a relationship. But no, maybe not everybody needs that. But I liked how you tied it back. Yeah. Like you said, hey, I learned something from this, and I like that.
Yes, I think that's the biggest part. Is yes, I can see where sometimes it does feel like Facebook because they're just like, hey, I went out, like you said, to a volleyball game. And you're like, okay,
cool.
Great.
Cool. You're missing the rest of the meal, right? Maybe you just ate the meat part of it, but you haven't finished the veggies and the other stuff. And you sure as heck aren't getting dessert.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's you have to tie it into, and everyone makes fun of I just ran a marathon. Here's 26.2 lessons I learned. You're like, what? You know what I mean? About business or customer service. You're just like, okay, let's not do this. There's a fine line.
I should have done that on my post about wrecking my bike. Here are the 8 business lessons I learned as I was falling head first into the basement.
You spoke, you broke.
Yeah.
Yes. Or you could have done however many $1,000 was stolen from you, that many lessons. Yeah. If you really wanted to be an overachiever.
1,093 lessons I learned when somebody stole my credit card and bought Pokemon.
Yeah, and how I'm applying that to
I'm going to start on it right now. I'll post it sometime in November.
Oh my gosh. So back to the example. So I'm on the spot here and
feed him, Maria. Feed him.
So my brain, we're going to see how there might be sparks coming out of my ears right now if you're watching this, but So basically, you have a post that's cringe or authentic, why imperfection wins and when it doesn't. I think this is a perfect one. So I feel like the post, so I'm just maybe going to like kind of go through what you already wrote, which I think was good. So you said your hook was cringe is trending, but it's not really about cringe. It's about trust. So I think you're like, what does that mean? So I go into your article, and I think with that hook, I think it was good. I think, you're kind of teeing things up because you're like, what do you mean about cringe is about trust? And so I think that that's an interesting, you made it memorable in a way that you're like, okay, I kind of want to see what you're talking about. And then your next sentence is, lead up to, your audiences don't want perfection. They want real, messy human moments that feel authentic. Here is my take on why authenticity wins when cringe works and where polish still matters. So you did this to tease the article,
right? We've done the M and the E there.
Yes. So this was a good tee up because it links out to the article. Now, if what I like to do as well is, this is good content that it shouldn't just be out there one time. You should give it multiple at bats. So if you're going to go and you're going to post this again, which I would suggest just maybe a different format, what you could do is you could pull in, I think you could probably in like 2 or 3 months repurpose this. If you want to keep the M and the E, you can, but let's add a little action to it. So like pull out the action steps that you shared in the article of like, whenever you teased it, like actually give them a snippet. So you can, this was like polish signals control, perfect feels fake, vulnerability builds trust. Give them a little bit of those, because then you're kind of like explaining it a little bit more so they don't have to do another click. Because sometimes people are lazy. I mean, they're going to be like, just hand it to me right now. I want to read it. So this could be like your action steps. And then the leading engagement could be, you basically hand it to them on a silver platter in the caption. But if they wanted to get the fullness of that meal and have every single bite of what you shared, then they can go and read the full article. You know what I mean? Like kind of lead.
I do. I love that. One of the things I'm a big proponent of is getting the biggest bang for your buck. And that is something I don't do with the content I create right now. I post it once and move on to the next. So
repurposing is huge. I do it all the time. And something that it helps on LinkedIn is you can go in your analytics and you can see your top performers, maybe based on, you can choose if you want to do it by impressions or engagement. And that way you can see, and you can switch the time frame too. So sometimes I'll do it for the last year and I'll see what my top performers are and I'll repost them. It's not verbatim. Like I'll probably change the hook a little bit, or maybe if I actually, included a carousel, maybe I'll just do more of like a text-based post and kind of add that carousel content somehow into the caption, but it just gives it a second set of legs and it works. It's proven to work, that topic, and what I'm talking about.
Sure.
So I just repurpose that into, and I give it, a few months in between. So it doesn't feel like I didn't, but that's the thing. I'm catching myself in real life right now. Not like no one's going to remember really what you posted.
Yeah.
What I mean? And not everybody saw it the first time.
Like, I know the size of my audience. It's not as big as Matt's or yours, but I'm not engaging even a percentage of it. So
so it's like, give it another at bat. And like, sometimes you don't want to maybe just do, like I said, verbatim. I got some tweaks. Maybe like you see a sentence that didn't really need to be there, so you edit it out, but like you keep like the crux of it the same, and then you repost it, because like I said, like no one's going to remember. If they do remember, like that's on them, good. Maybe they're remembering it for a good reason, but like, and then again, not everyone sees your content. So, like give them another chance to engage with it.
Yeah. Awesome. I think there's cycles of when people are on LinkedIn too. Like people get busy and they don't visit for a while. They don't log in.
Yep.
And so taking advantage of that as well is a concept I hadn't really considered before.
Absolutely. Finding the right time to post. I know that usually works best for me if I'm posting at a certain time in the morning and things like that, certain days. Like there's all that you can kind of just play around with to figure it out. Cool. So Maria, we write the post. We're done. Right?
I mean, it was like
we put the post up, right? And we're done. Like close app, close computer, posts up, done. See you, world.
No.
I fed you.
No.
Oh,
That's
what else?
What's
next?
Posting and ghosting. That is a finable offense.
That's your thing, right? You love that, right?
I do love posting and ghosting is not posting ghosts. I wish I could take credit for it. I heard it somewhere else. But what I like to do is I call it the content sandwich. Again, we're building on the lunch break, the meal method. So it's a comment sandwich. And what it is, and I do it myself every day when I post, is like 5 to 10 minutes before I'm ready to post, I'll go through my newsfeed and I'll just leave as many comments as I can. I at least try and get 3 to 5 comments. Then I'll take a little break and I'll post the content that is scheduled for the day. And then I'll stay on for another 5 to 10 minutes of, I'm going through the newsfeed again, leaving comments, just showing the algorithm that, again, I'm not posting and ghosting, like I'm posting and sticking around and, really trying to be an active member. And then to build on that. So that's the sandwich. It's like you want to sandwich your posting of content with commenting, because that's just a good habit to get into, because then people that you're commenting on their content, they're going to like look back and they'll see that, oh, you have a fresh post, then they'll engage. So it's kind of that reciprocity play. But another thing to build on that is the golden hour. I don't know if you've heard of that in LinkedIn, in the LinkedIn world, but the golden hour is the 60 minutes after you publish a post. So what I always encourage my clients is to be available in that first hour after their post goes live, because if any comments come through on that content, they should be available to respond to it quickly, because how a post performs in that 60 minutes kind of sets the stage for its longevity. Like if it's getting a lot of comments, the author is responding back, LinkedIn's going to keep it in the news feed. They're going to keep showing it to more people, and it kind of cascades that way. But if there's no comments, or maybe there is a comment and you're not responding, they're going to take that as a signal as maybe this isn't as important as we thought. Out of the news feed, we'll put something else in that position. So that's commenting is such a big play when it comes to content posting.
Now I practice and the golden hour in which you preach, because I've followed you for a while and we've connected before. But Mark, do you follow the golden hour, or will you start now?
I think I will now. I don't consistently. I have instinctually. I do look for the right times to post and strategically for who I'm trying to reach. And I'm watching the analytics on what's performing, what's not. So everything has to be data driven these days. We have the data, so why not let it inform?
And it's striking a balance between like what the timing that works best for your audience and the timing that works best for you. Because like if you're going to post it and then like I'm walking into a meeting for the next hour, you're not going to have your phone, then you're not going to be able to capitalize on that early engagement. But if you can like shift some things around and like make it work for both the audience, of course, first, but then you to be able to be actively engaging with people that are taking the time to leave comments, that's when you kind of hit your stride there.
And I write most of my stuff in the middle of the night. So I usually just schedule it for, a normal human time frame.
Yes, exactly.
Only post between 1 and 3 a.m. I don't get good engagement, but
why is this happening?
Yeah, right. So as we move into networking, posts are the handshake, comments are small talk, are DMs the after party? Like, tell me about how's networking work on LinkedIn nowadays?
And that's the goal for a job seeker too, right? You're putting content out there so that people come to you as opposed to you go to them. That's always a better conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I think when you're active, so whether you're actively posting and you're actively commenting, like you're creating those kind of like entry points for you to, send the connection request to, end up in a DM conversation, because there's that context piece, which I think is so important. Instead of like a cold outreach, like, hey, I see you work at this company. I'm looking for this job. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're having those exchanges where maybe they're seeing your content, you're commenting on theirs, there's that familiarity. So it doesn't feel like you're coming out of left field. So I do feel like the DMs are like the after party, like you're saying, where that gives you a chance to, have those exchanges that aren't public facing, where you can get to know each other a little bit more. And then if it makes sense, like take those conversations offline, have those calls. Maybe it's a meeting in person. But I think it all boils back to being active with, creating content of your own, and especially commenting on theirs, because that's showing, that you're interested in them and that you're an active, user on the platform, and you're sharing your opinions, and, you're wanting to have those conversations with them. So I think that's a really important piece of the networking puzzle to get to the DMs. I mean, you can send cold messages. I'm not saying you can't, but I think if you're warming up those, conversations with familiarity because you're exchanging, comments and content, I think that, might help you get your foot in the door a little bit more.
I think when I started really pushing content on a regular basis, when I started in my interim era, I was kind of a little bit hesitant when people were like, "Hey, we're having a coffee chat. Hey, you want to talk?" I was kind of like, weird.
Well, half of them come with, and send me your social security number and credit card.
Yeah, sure.
No strings attached.
If I'm looking and it's not just somebody with one follower, it's somebody that's in the same industry and all this other kind of stuff. I've met some amazing people over the last 4 or 5 months that I'll carry with me, as I go to my next gig and all of that. I mean, Maria, you're one of those. So, as I think about that, like, how important is it to step out of your comfort zone and take some of those calls?
I've taken a lot of them, and yeah, you're right. It does kind of feel like odd. And like, you're like, where's the pitch? Like, it's coming. You're just sitting there like, it's coming. Is it now? Like, am I actively in this pitch? But I've had a few of those. But then I've also, like Matt, like we had a great conversation like a couple weeks ago, and it was just like, you're learning about somebody else. And I think it's just like human nature to have conversations, about shared interests and, maybe shared experiences in life, like chapters you're in. And I think that's just like a good way to strengthen your network, is just act like a human being. Like, it's not like, of course, LinkedIn started off as a very transactional platform where it's, companies posting jobs, people applying for the jobs, but now it's becoming a social network. Like, literally, it is becoming way more social. And I think the more that we treat it as such, the more that we can get out of the platform and, meeting people, in different parts of the country. Maybe they're like a town over. Like, you find there's so many people on this planet. And I think like the more open you are to having conversations, like, obviously have a little discernment, and the ones you're taking, if it feels weird, don't take it. Like, you don't have to take coffee calls, but like, put yourself out there a little bit. I think it pays off.
I don't want people to get upset if they have just a couple hundred connections, or if they have 1,000 connections, if their posts are not going viral, right? So let's talk about, just quickly before we get into our hot takes, like, visibility does not equal virality. Which would you rather have, Maria? Would you rather have a post go viral with 1 million randos that are clicking in and commenting, or would you rather have visibility, lots of comments, people are engaging, and maybe you're only hitting, a certain percentage of your actual reach that you think you can get? Like, is visibility more important than virality?
I would take visibility any day of the week instead of 1 million randos, because if they're not in my target market, if they're not even in my country, like, what value is that really giving me? Like, yes, my ego is like sky high. Like, I feel like I'm the champion of the world whenever you get like a micro viral post, or even like a truly viral piece of content. But I love visibility any day of the week. And I think it's easy to get maybe feel kind of like I'm only getting like 300 impressions on a post, and you're like, this isn't worth it, and you kind of tap out too early. But the way I see it is, it all builds on, it's that consistency. I know that sounds like so cliche, but it's, it's sticking to it even whenever you feel like you're maybe not, making the waves that you would want to, and it's more of like the ripples right now. And I think something to consider is, not everybody is an active user. They could be lurkers. So they could just be scrolling. They're not actively engaging, but like they might come out of the woodwork down the line and they're like, hey, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. I've been seeing your posts. And you're like, I didn't even know you engage. You know what I mean? So like you have those examples. But for me, it's something that I'm paying attention to now whenever it comes to like visibility. It's yes, you want to like see if your impressions are, increasing. You would hate to see them decrease. But something that I'm also looking at is with the analytics that LinkedIn's giving us now, is they'll show you like the number of profile views you're getting from a post, how many followers you're getting from a post, saves and sends. Because I feel like those are kind of like more quiet metrics that maybe people aren't really paying attention to and are going to start paying attention to, because that shows that like your content compel them to do the next step, whether it's, following you, maybe just checking out your profile, if it's saving your posts for later. Like those are good indicators that you're on the right track and you should kind of follow that path of what you were talking about.
All right. One super quick question, then some quick hot takes. I know you got to roll. One thing I want to know is if someone comments on my post and I've never connected with them before, or I see them peeping on my profile, should I just be like, oh, cool, they were checking me out? Or should I connect and drop them a line?
I always connect. I have no shame in my game, because sometimes people will look at my profile and like you don't have a connection point yet. Like you have no context. I've never met you. I don't know you, blah, blah, blah. And I always feel like it's, I notice you noticing me. Like I could send that in the thing, but that might be like weird because I don't know them yet. Like I don't know their sense of humor. But like sometimes, if that's the case, if somebody looks at my profile and I feel like, oh, that would be a good connection, I'll send the connection request without a note. Nobody don't come at me for that. But what I do is I will follow up once they connect, and then I'll send a message like, hey, thanks for connecting. Looking forward to learning more about you. Something simple like that. Now, if somebody were to comment on my content, and it's like a second or third degree connection, I will send them an immediate connection request if I, feel like there could be a mutual value from both of us. And I'll just say a simple, hey, thanks for leaving a comment on my post. I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to connecting. And then there you go. And that's just easy ways and like normal ways to kind of get solid connections and get, different voices on your newsfeed.
Awesome. All right. Hot takes, Mark.
Yes.
Hot takes. Okay. All right. Real quick. Okay. Most posts flop because they read like cover letters.
Is this like a true or false?
This is like a hot take. Answer it. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. I guess I could have said it better.
Well, no, I think there's, your posts aren't corporate memos. They don't have to be. Nobody wants them to be. You know what I mean? Like, again, I always say we're more than our job title. We're more than, the posts that we share. Like, share your personality, because that's what's going to get people you're going to stand out whenever you're yourself and people can actually feel it. And it's not like you're doing what everybody else is doing because everybody else is doing it.
Be human. You said it.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. Be human. You're a human. Yes. Be human.
Yeah.
All right. Maria, consistency beats cleverness.
I think you should have both if you can, but consistency, I think, edges it out, because sometimes people maybe don't have, it feels forced if they have to be clever. So I would hate for them to feel like they have to be clever and then they just don't post. So I would say post authentically to what you're interested in talking about and how you want to talk about it.
All right. Agree. Stop waiting for the perfect wording or writing for the perfect wording. Even just hit post.
Yes. I think don't word vomit in a post. Like have some semblance of
well, you did read my stuff.
Sense. Yeah. Yeah. So I do think there has to be some level of polish, but don't get stuck on it, because like we just talked about, like you can post it one time, and then if you see glaring errors or maybe something that you change, guess what? You're going to repost it down the line. So it's not just a one and done. You have more at bats with that piece of content. So I would say get it to a good spot, but don't obsess about it.
I think that ties to your last question, Matt. Like mix in authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think you're golden.
All right, last one. Likes or vanity, comments or currency?
I agree.
Likes are cheap.
Yeah. I mean, I could do it.
Don't mail it in. Don't mail it in.
give me like a heart or give me a light bulb when I post. And I'll be like, oh, thank you.
For the support. I'm like, wait, why are you supporting? Like, what are you supporting me for?
Like, what did I write?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What did I post? No, I do think, yes, I think they serve a purpose, like, but it's so passive. A like is so passive. You could do it. You're not even reading the stuff. You could just be like, oh, I know, Matt posted this like, you know what I mean? I would never do that to you, Matt. I would read the post and leave a comment. But yeah, comments are currency, I would say. I feel like that is like, if somebody can leave a thoughtful comment on your content, you've done something right, because they've taken time out of their day to leave a comment on your content. I mean, I feel like that's a very good signal.
There you go. Yeah. Bottom line, if your LinkedIn looks like a middle school yearbook quote, call Maria.
Yeah, of course. We'll scrapbook it and make it look great.
Maria, where can people find you if they want to just follow your content? I know you've put together an awesome new resource for our listeners and other people that are in their interim era. Where can they find you?
So they can find me on LinkedIn. It's Maria Marhefka. It does not spell like it sounds. So it's MARCHEWKA. Yes, thank you. You can find me there. I post basically every day. I also have a newsletter I send out every single Monday at noon. And I talk about LinkedIn. So I give you tips, advice, ideas, LinkedIn post prompts, things like that. I gave the meal method a few months ago, but that's the lunch break. .beehive.com. And that resource that you just mentioned, I put together a job seeker toolkit. So it's a free resource that helps people that are in their interim era looking for a job. It helps them, refine their headline, their about me section. I give them 12 post prompts, a posting calendar for a whole month. And it just really helps them. Like, it seems very exhausting. And from what I'm picking up from people, like, it's a grind looking for a job, interviewing, applying. And so you don't want to make LinkedIn feel like a job. So I'm trying to take maybe some of that stress and pressure off of them and kind of helping them walk through that chapter of their life on LinkedIn.
Maria, this has been awesome. Fantastic. You're awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
This has been awesome.
We should do this again.
We should.
Yes,
You're my favorite.
There's a lot more we could talk about. So.
I just want to say that.
I didn't even go to Pitt.
Okay. Well, you're
I'm
my
a
favorite.
Pitt fan by marriage.
Pitt fan by marriage. You're my favorite
Thank you.
one. So,
Thanks.
but thank you so much. And for Mark Palmer, this is Matt C. And thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Interim Era.
All right. If Matt is good at anything, it's wasting money.
Yeah. Ask my wife. I'll get her down here. She'll tell you all about it.